He's right.
Level 6 in math,
Hey guys, it's the feed back again today, and on today's episode we're going to be talking about how technology rots the brain. Just kidding, but not really.
So we'll be going over the ERQ question of discuss the positive and or negative effects of digital technology on the reliability of cognitive processes.
So what are cognitive processes?
Well, cognitive processes are the mental functions the brain uses to acquire, process, and use information on a day-to-day basis. In fact, when planning out this podcast, we had to use cognitive processes such as attention, memory, and decision-making all at the same time to ensure that it is as informative as possible.
Delaney, since you're so focused on this podcast, why don't you continue?
Wait, what were we talking about again?
Shalini, can you focus?
Right, attention. Well, attention is the mental energy or resource required to perform mental processes, but they can sometimes be limited in quantity, kind of like what just happened to me. But speaking of attention, since you don't seem to be very focused either, why don't you speak about the dual task paradigm?
A dual task paradigm is a research method where individuals perform two tasks simultaneously, and they're assessed based on their ability to perform each task.
However, multitasking and switching between digital tasks can sometimes harm or sharpen our cognitive skills depending on the situation.
Yeah, but modern technology, like the cell phone in my case, provide us with these distractions that will eventually affect our working memory and our attention span.
But how can we prove this?
Two studies that explore the positive and negative effects of digital technology on attention are Rosen, Carrier, and Cheever from 2013 and Rosser et al. From 2007, respectively.
So, when writing a response to a discussion of ERQ, it's important that you have a study which can argue for your theory and also another study which can argue against it.
So for this question, which study is our counter-argument?
Well, Rosen, Carrier, and Cheever concluded that digital technology has a negative effect on attention, while Rosser 2007 concluded a positive effect. But since unfortunately we don't have enough camera storage, we'll only be focusing on the negative study for this episode.
So, despite that, it's still important that you include an analysis on a positive study because that will ensure that your response is balanced in your discussion of a discuss ERQ, and it's kind of your key to getting that level 7.
So let's begin with a summary of the Rosen, Cheever, and Carrier study conducted in 2013. So this study aimed to investigate the relationship between the use of digital technology, multitasking, and school achievement.
The method involved a correlational study which required a dual task paradigm. The participants were 263 students, of which were middle school, high school, university students who were all from America.
So let's talk about the procedure. Students were observed while they studied in their natural learning environments, such as their homes, by 128 trained student observers. This observation lasted for around 15 minutes.
The observers were given observation forms which consisted of 2 sections.
The first section tracked pre-observation data. So that included things like the location, present technology, windows, room, etc.
The second section was a minute-by-minute checklist that was filled, you guessed it, every minute. The observers had to check off specific boxes whenever the students switched tabs, accessed their emails, went on Facebook, walked around, etc. during the observation period.
Finally, at the end of the observation period, each student had to self-report their GPA.
Yeah, and ultimately the results showed that on average, students tended to remain on task for 10 minutes out of the 15-minute observational period, but they also tended to switch to off-task behavior after 6 minutes of work.
Furthermore, the variables with the strongest correlation to a reduced time spent on-task behavior were technology available at the start of studying, walking around, texting, and especially using Facebook.
Yeah, but it's not all about Facebook though. However, it was found that students who would access Facebook at least once during their 15-minute study period had consequentially lower GPAs than the students who didn't use Facebook at all.
Yeah, but nowadays I feel like you can get easily distracted by modern apps such as Instagram or even TikTok.
But they still have similar algorithms though, so their findings are still transferable to us as well, even with those apps.
That's true.
Yeah, but what are the conclusions of the study?
Well, the researchers concluded that these findings demonstrate attentional blink, which is a temporary slowdown in mental processing due to actively interacting with another task that is unrelated.
That may be true, but putting the detriments aside, I have to admit that I've actually learned a fair bit from social media. And those quick conversations over text can actually really make my day.
Honestly, me too. I don't think I'd be able to live with social media because it's so prevalent in my everyday life.
But that is not a good thing, is it? Because social media is such a significant contributor to our decreased attention span and poor habits. I mean, look at us. We have completely gone on a tangent about social media instead of focusing on the effects of digital technology on the reliability of cognitive processes.
Oh, you're right. But back to the study. Let's not forget that in order to gain a better understanding of the negative effects of digital technology on attention, it is also important that we evaluate the study.
Exactly. Regardless of the command term of your ERQ, it's vital to evaluate all of your chosen studies. Just make sure you cater your writing style to the command term that you were given, which in this case was discussed. So to evaluate the studies, let's first talk about the strengths.
One of the more obvious strengths is the large sampling size because it increases the accuracy and the generalizability of results while also minimizing sampling error.
Just to clarify, generalizability is the term used in quantitative research to explain how a result can be extended to other populations and world settings.
Yeah, and the other strength of the study is methodological triangulation, which is the combination of different data collection techniques, including quantitative methods, which are measurable, and qualitative methods, which are descriptive. Essentially, the combination of these different techniques increases the validity and the reliability of the results. In this study in particular, the data collection techniques would be the observational data, which is qualitative as it can be measured, and the self-reported GPA, which is quantitative.
But there's no rose without a thorn. So let's go over the limitations of the study. So the first would be that the study assumes that there is a correlation between schools' achievement, so like GPA and attention span, treating an increased or decreased attention as reflection of your cognitive abilities.
The other limitation of the study was that it was conducted under overt observation, which is when participants are fully aware that they are being studied and know the purpose of the research. Within the study itself, participants knew exactly who the observer was. Hence, this could have led to participant bias, when participants either consciously or unconsciously act in the way the researcher desires rather than acting naturally, thus impacting the accuracy of the results. Now let's dive into the applications of the study. As we learned, paying attention leads to better memory due to the improvement of initial coding of information into the brain. As such, schools and teachers can use these studies' findings to curate environments with fewer technological distractions to improve on-task behavior and maximize learning and information retention.
In addition to this, parents and educators might encourage their students and children to avoid social media platforms during their study times to better improve their academic performance and manage their multitasking.
It can also inform and lead the development of digital literacy programs that teach students how to manage multitasking.
The study also has its implications. With the recent rise of cyberbullying and absurd societal standards in social media, the younger generation's perspectives have switched from their own personal progress to pleasing other people's expectations. But this is exactly why we need to understand the negative effects of digital technology so that we can help these younger generations and prevent them from having those negative mentalities.
The findings also imply that digital technology use, when unregulated, can specifically interfere with the formulation of thoughts and the students' abilities to focus, leading to long-term effects and harm to a student's academic success.
The strong association with Facebook suggests that not all multitasking behaviors are equally detrimental, highlighting the importance of studying the specific type of distraction.
The research supports broader concerns that constant media multitasking reduces sustained attention, which could have long-term implications for cognitive development and attention spans.
Okay. Overall, research has shown that digital technology can have both positive and negative effects on cognitive processes such as attention.
And then Rosen, Carrier, and Cheever show that media multitasking creates a temporary slowdown in mental processing.
Yeah, and contrastingly, Ross et al. From 2007 showed that fine motor skills and attention were actually improved by playing video games, where with participants subsequently being able to transfer these accumulated skills into new situations.
So I think this is a good point to end off our episode, and I hope you guys stay tuned for our upcoming content that will come your way.
And don't forget, the neurons that fire together wire together.
That's the feed.
Signing off.
Okay.